So, and in order to put the important thing first, I want to introduce you to another concept. These are the Eisenhower Quadrants, which became famous by President Eisenhower. But I want to show you Stephen Covey's interpretation, which is a little bit different than the usual one. So President Eisenhower said that things can be either urgent or not urgent, and they can be either important or not important. So these are the 4 items for these quadrants. So, and to say it right away, urgent things are rarely important, but on the other hand, important things almost never get urgent. So this is very important for you to know, I think. So first of all, we have things that are important and also urgent. And this is quadrant 1. And this is everything that we classically call a crisis, or everything that has to be done right now, because otherwise terrible things will happen, like deadlines and like that you have to decide upon something immediately in order to prevent bad things to happen and stuff like that. And of course, everyone knows this, and everyone sometimes has a quadrant 1 activities, but you know that this is not very comfortable, and some people are almost all the time in quadrant 1. Some people think that being a manager should look like that, but of course this is not a good manager who always is just stressed and in crisis. And if you stay there for some time, then it surely can bring you into burnout. So this is some place where you do not want to be, and where you rather want to prevent getting there too often. Another quadrant is if things are urgent but not important, and this is where many people spend lots of their times, and this includes lots of telephone calls and emails and conferences and all kinds of daily interruptions and things that seem to be urgent. And things that are urgent but never really become important, which means that they have a big impact of the whole thing, of the whole company, of the whole project, or even of your whole life. But many people like to be here because most of these activities are not very complicated, and you also get friends with doing that, because urgent things are mostly brought by someone else, and it's not even your concerns. If someone else needs you to do this and that, and if you do so, then of course people like you. So this is also a reason why many people spend lots of their time in quadrant 3. Quadrant 4 is trivia. Quadrant 4 are things that are neither important nor urgent, so you should better keep from doing them at all, but still you do that also for being favored, because people like you then, and also because it still gives you the feeling that you are active, that you're doing something, even though it doesn't bring the whole project any further. So it's also lots of calls and mails and conferences. It's real time wasters, yeah, but it still lets you feel as if you are active, as if you're doing something, even though it's not very complicated and it doesn't really help the whole project. And then, last but not least, we have quadrant 2. And quadrant 2, these are the things this is the quadrant you should really dedicate your importance to, your time to, because here you find your important projects. This is the quadrant of the things that really have a huge impact of your whole life. But as I already said, important things rarely get urgent. So this is a quadrant where people usually do not spend much time in. They always think, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. Because here is everything on prevention, on planning, on relationship building, on finding new possibilities, and of course also recovering. And it rarely gets urgent that you recover. Only if you break down, then it suddenly becomes urgent. And planning is often not that urgent in the moment, but if you don't plan, then there is the crisis coming. And if you don't build on relationships, if you do not care for your spouse and do not care for your co-workers and do not care for your employees, this usually can last for quite some time and nothing happens. But then suddenly, if you need them, if you really need cooperation, people won't cooperate because they do not like you. And also, if you never look for new possibilities, if you never dream big, if you never have any visions, then things won't change. So this is the quadrant where it's hardest to take time because it never seems that important, but which is really important in the long run and where you really should take your time. And the most important thing is if you spend more time, if you take your time to spend the time in quadrant 2, then the others are shrinking. If you spend more time on prevention and on planning, there will be less crisis happening. You won't be that often in this quadrant 1 crisis handling because you already prevented it right away. And because you were planning and because you were finding new, easier possibilities. And also, if you spend more time on thinking about the big picture, on as we did already in this program, when you spend more time on making clear to yourself what you really want to achieve in your life and what's really important, then you will delegate a lot of quadrant 3 and you will diminish or completely delete many things which you have on quadrant 4. So all the other quadrants can shrink if you spend more time in quadrant 2. So the more time you spend on quadrant 2, the more you get for quadrant 2. And don't forget, this is the really important thing in your life. And I just can tell you from my own experience, it's just wonderful to have almost all of your time to just spend on the things that you really consider important and that are really things you love to do. So just find time for quadrant 2 and you will see what will happen.